My mom, Rhonda Frost, wrote this open letter to Usher on her blog. And I read through it, and it kind of took me a minute to digest it because she actually took the time to apologize to Usher, which a lot of us have looked at Usher as kind of the villain in this STI case that he's dealing with. We all know how serious sexually transmitted diseases and infections are. And we all know that the right thing to do is to share it with people, but obviously that doesn't happen. You know, if you have something, a lot of times we're embarrassed, and we don't want to tell our secrets. And because look what happens when you do. So I wanted to just talk to her because she's had over 10,000 hits in the past 2 days and on her article, because I'll be honest, my first thought was, well, he's the perpetrator. He's the one that did it. He's the one that's married. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Pay the lady. And you obviously had a softer perspective than me. So let's talk about that a little bit.
I'm like, damn, we're so quick to jump on the bandwagon and to be against something. And we're so good at piling on and talking about other folks' business and being mean-spirited and cracking jokes and what have you. And what hit me is that this needs a broader perspective. I wanted to step back and I wanted to look at it from all angles and to say, damn, if that was me, if I was in his shoes, how would I want people to treat me? And so my article was called An Open Letter to Usher Raymond, and then it said, I'm sorry. But if you read the article, obviously it goes through details about what I'm sorry for, and it's bigger than that.
Right. And I saw I think she said I'm sorry about 15 times in the first paragraph of different things. But really what also struck me as sad, I guess, is after I read your open letter to Usher, I was able to sit back and kind of reflect of all the things that I had seen on Instagram and Facebook. And I think that a lot of people have this disease. They're not aware of what herpes is. I remember being at work and people were like, well, what is it? You know, some people thought that it's better to have AIDS than it is to have herpes things. So it's like why we laugh is because we're so naive to what it really is and what is really going on. But the bigger picture is, why is it funny?
Yeah.
Why is someone's illness funny? I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a cold sore or AIDS. I got a meme that had Usher and Magic Johnson in the picture, and it said they're having a coughing contest.
That's
like,
funny.
How is that funny?
And that's what in my blog article says. I talk about just how we are cruel, and I'm going to go ahead and say this: Black people are more cruel than probably white people in this regard, in terms of how we treat each other when we're down. Mm-hmm. We are notorious for gossiping. We are notorious for tearing each other down or whispering about this person's business or that person's business. And in this case, that's one of the things that I mentioned. Is like, how is it having a disease and infecting someone funny? I failed to see the humor in it. And it hurt me and it pissed me off because this man is a human being. Right. Obviously, he messed up. And in the article, I do address all of that. It's like, I'm sorry that all of this is happening. I'm sorry that you didn't have the courage to tell these women about your disease. And I'm sorry for the victims. There's so many things that I feel awful about. But the thing that is bothersome is that instead of us stepping back to say, hey, what if this was me? Or what if this was one of my family members or whatever? How would I want people to treat me? We're on a bandwagon. The majority of the memes and stuff were nasty. They were evil spirited, and that's what bothered me. At the end of the day, he's still a human being. He's someone that most of us loved and admired for forever. And suddenly, because he has a disease and he obviously made a grave mistake that he's paying for, we're going to tear him down and destroy him to pieces. Where's our humanity? I'm not blaming the victim. I'm saying something else we all need to think about is, have you ever laid down with somebody and not been protected? Ever? Did you leave a club and like someone so much that you decided to go sleep with them? And I mean, if everybody watching this is honest, I'm sure that at some point in your life, you slept with somebody unprotected.
Before you got their paperwork.
Before you saw test results. Because I've been out with some folks. I mean, I've seen it. I've heard of it. I bet you, I put money on it, that you didn't say, oh, before I sleep with you, I need to see your test results, your STD report. I'm sure of it. So what I think why I felt compelled to write this, is that I need us to start to be honest with ourselves. There, but for the grace of God, go you and everyone else. So is that funny? Is this humorous? Or do we really need to start to have the conversation and create an environment where we are comfortable having this conversation without fear that someone's going to post it on social media or they're going to go report it? And in his case, as a celebrity, if it's scary for us to report it as normal people, imagine if you have it and you're a celebrity of that magnitude and you have to tell somebody before you sleep with them. Do you trust that they're going to keep it in confidence, or are they going to run to TMZ so they can get a check for the story? I mean, it's so much bigger than the game. It's so much bigger than the humor and the jokes.
But you know what that makes me think of? Our shame and embarrassment that we carry across the board. It's not just that. Like, how many African Americans do you know that are hiding and they're transgender, or that are hiding and they're gay? And maybe not in Atlanta, but in other places where it is actually something that they are terrified to come out about because of how bad we treat people that are not normal, or that are not like us, or that may have whatever it is that you deem to be not cool. We never stop and consider, and it's it's bigger than that. Let's think about how many people hide the fact that they're broke. Like, you got jokes.
And they fake the funk on social media like they balling out of control. I mean, let's talk about all the secrets.
I mean, and it's like, okay, well, this person is in bankruptcy, but she's not telling anybody, or he's not telling anybody. This person's lights are cut off, but they're embarrassed because if everybody knew, which again, everybody, unless you're Usher, everybody don't know. And no, everybody don't care. Somebody like exactly. You cannot wake up in the mirror and say, I love my life, I love everything around me, I'm fly, but I'm going to go out and attack this person. Right. And it's no different than Gilbert Arenas, who went on a rant about him saying that Lupe Nyong'o was a 3, as everybody complimented how beautiful her skin was. And he was like, yeah, her skin is beautiful, but she's a 3 in the face. And it's like, well, how bad do you have to feel about yourself to see somebody's page, screenshot it, put it up on your Instagram, and then follow through with the insult? Like, how is that okay? How does that make you feel better as a person? And we do it all the time, where we don't have a problem with hurting people or jumping on the bandwagon. So it is... I mean, it just paints a picture of how broken and how wounded we are as Black people. And if we don't have a conversation about it, then we're basically saying it's okay. And whether it's Usher, who I personally believe should have done something like Magic Johnson, where you just come out and say it, then no one can hold it against you. Everybody is aware. Moving forward, you don't have to worry about lawsuits pending on secrets, because you told this person this is what I have. But I get it.
That's a tough one.
It took how long? Look how long it took Charlie Sheen to come out and admit, that he was HIV positive. But it was because he did the right thing. He was telling women, "Hey, I'm HIV positive. We're going to use condoms. We're going to use protection. Blah 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 blah." And then they walked away and tried to extort him. I need $5 million to keep this secret.
And that's the thing that I think is critical in this. Obviously, no matter who you are, the statistics say 1 in 6 Americans have herpes. Mm-hmm. They say 48% of Black women have it. That's almost 50% of the population.
48%.
That's almost 50% of the population. That's coming from the CDC. That's not my statistic. Look it up yourself. If those are the real numbers, and clearly they must be pretty close to true, then it's a whole lot of folks with that same secret. Now, and the other part of that is, you can have it and be asymptomatic. You may not even know. But for a celebrity to have it and have to say that to people in this social media world we live in, it has to be terrifying. And he's not alone. Obviously, there's lots of other celebrities and non-celebrities, millions upon millions of people that do have it. So where do we go from here? I mean, do we jump on the bandwagon and continue to beat this brother down and make him out to be some horrible individual? I think it would be easier for me to just hate on them indefinitely if it were children involved. If these were people who could not give consent.
Right.
But when we all lay down with somebody, and it could be Usher, or it could be John down the street,
right.
the brother that you work with, or the Jim that you met at the club, or Sarah, whoever else, it could be anybody. And so we need to stop before we open our mouths and jump on this bandwagon. We need to think about what we're doing and what we're saying, and how do we create an environment where people actually feel comfortable saying, hey, listen, before we go any further, I need to tell you something. And I need to be able to trust that you're not going to use this against me. And I mean, do we make people sign some sort of disclosure, some sort of agreement that says, I won't repost this on social media, I won't share your information? How do you feel safe telling people that you have it?
But that's what I'm saying. I said it on the radio that I don't trust people with a naked picture. You know, I mean,
we've sent them
yeah,
too.
Many of them.
I've done it.
I ain't gonna lie, but nonetheless, if you have to you have to get to know somebody. You have to really trust it that if we broke up tomorrow, that you're not gonna violate my trust
and hurt me,
right?
Because you're angry. Because things didn't work out the way
right.
you said.
You just seen like Rob Kardashian post all those pictures of Blac Chyna because she made him mad. Or
and
whatever.
imagine if he had if there was some circumstance like that where she had disclosed this to him in that situation. Imagine if he did all of that, revealing everything he could reveal to the world.
Because he was jealous.
That secret wouldn't have been safe. And how many others out there have done the same thing when a relationship didn't go well?
A lot.
Told all sorts of stuff about your partner.
Or made shit up. Like you may not even date somebody. You may be like, no, I'm not interested. And he'll go and I had a whole blog written about me because I told somebody I wasn't going to date you.
They created all sorts of hateful stuff.
Man, I done lost my kids. I'm living at home. She's she's a gold digger. I'm like, what are you talking about?
But that's how in today's social media world, where anybody can create anything and write it about you and put it out there to the whole world. Just step back for a minute and imagine how terrifying as a celebrity that must be to share your secrets.